Hello, this is Mark McKay, and I want to go through a quick tutorial today on making tileable textures. Now, a tileable texture is just an image, a picture, that has a property that if you place a copy of the image right next to itself, you can't see the seam in between them. And this is really useful in a lot of situations. It's useful if you're doing any kind of 3D modeling. It's useful in web pages if you want to have a big image that fills up the entire page, but you don't want it to be huge. It's really useful, but they're hard to come up with. So I'm just going to use a couple of Photoshop techniques to turn a photograph into one of those things. Now, see, this image right now won't work because, first of all, we have this big white band on the side with some snow. Then we have these lines are kind of slanting, so that even if we didn't have this snow gray curb over here, it still wouldn't match up. So we're going to fix both of those things. Now this is a photograph of the sidewalk outside my house, and I took this with my camera, which is a little old, and the color's not the best. So the first thing we're going to do is use an adjustment layer to fix the color here, because you can see this is really red, and we want to take that redness out. So you can come down here, create a new adjustment layer. Color balance, and we want to get rid of the red, so we're going to move this away from the red. You can see that's starting to look more like cement. See, it's a little bit, still a little bit warm, so we're just going to get rid of some of that yellow too. And that's starting to look like regular cement, like you might see outside when you're looking at a real sidewalk. And just toggle that off. And yeah, that looks better. Now it's a little dark though, so the next thing we're going to do is add try to brighten it up. So we can do that with a second adjustment layer with the brightness contrast, and we're going to slide that up, and that's looking better already. It's starting to look a little bit like you might see it on a nice summer day, but it's nice, bright, and clear. So I think we're going to go with this. This is color corrected. You can still play with this a little bit more to get it absolutely perfect, but I think this is good enough. So we're going to take this and flatten it down, and that just takes those color adjustment layers and bakes it into a single layer again. Now the next thing we're going to do is get rid of some of the slanting, and we're going to do that by using a transform. So now if you look at the edges here, you can see I have the rulers up. You can get those by pressing Control R. I'm going to press Control R again to get rid of them, and then Control R again to bring them back. And the nice thing about the rulers is they let you bring out guides, and guides are really helpful for lining things up. So just going to press down, press in the ruler and drag down to get my first guide, and press again and drag down. Now I'm just bringing these down to get some idea of how to adjust those lines so that they become, horizontally proper. So there are some guides. This is just for guidance. They don't affect the image at all. And I'm going to press Control T, and that's going to transform the image in the background there. And Control T. So Photoshop is taking its time. Control T. Let's try. Oh, you know what I forgot? I forgot to turn that background into a regular layer. You can't transform the background. So let's try that again. Now I've transformed that into a regular layer by double clicking on that and pressing the OK button. Now I'm going to press Control T. Alright, now I'm going to change transform. Now what you have by default is the affine transform change tool that allows you to just sort of scale and rotate and shift things around. But we want a non-affine transform, so I'm going to press the Control key, and that transforms this into a white cursor, and that allows me to move the edges around without, independently. I can move these corners around without making the other corners automatically follow. that's useful for straightening things out. Gonna bring that up over there. Okay, and you can see that we have these lines that are looking a lot more horizontal now. And this is exactly what we want because we need horizontal lines for our texture to tile horizontally properly. Okay, that looks good, so I'm going to press enter to commit. Alright, and now we have our sidewalk. Not only is it color corrected, but it's going in the right direction. Now it's still not good enough though for tiling because we need to have it repeat vertically and horizontally. Right now we can't do that. So we're going to fix that with the clone brush. And in order to do that, we're first going to create a new texture, which is going to be the final. And going to go new. We're going to create a 2048 by 2048 texture, and I'm picking that because that is a resolution similar to this one over here. So I'm just going to take and drag that over to the edge here so we can sort of have a split. Whoops. Come on. It's difficult to get that in precisely the right spot. Okay, so now we can see our two images side by side. And what we're going to be doing is we're going to be copying from our source image over here, and we're going to be pasting into our destination tileable image over here. And we're going to be doing that using the clone brush. So the clone brush is this one over here. It looks like a rubber stamp. Click on that. I'm going to come back over here to my source image. I'm going to press Alt, and I'm going to press Alt and click, and that defines the center of the clone brush. Now when I bring the clone brush over here, you can see the place where that we sampled from is in the center of our cursor here, and when we press down and draw, we copy from that source image and it gets pasted in our destination image over here. And you can see that we have a nice, sidewalk texture here. Now I'm being careful not to go to the edges. We're going to deal with that next. Now in order to create the tileable texture, we need the top here to look like the bottom, and we need the right to look like the left. And we're going to be able to do that by offsetting the image. So I'm going to go to Filter and down to Other and Offset. And what this does is it allows the image to wrap around. So if you start off with that at 0, you can see it doesn't affect anything. But as you drag that to the side, it makes the image go more to the side. And that's just what we want, so that looks good. Now we're going to want to get rid of this white band over there. So I'm going to come back to our source image, going to press Alt and click to define a new starting sample point. I can come over here, I'm going to click and drag, and that's copying from the source image. Now it's pasting onto that little band in the middle there. And that is now looking nice and seamless. And you might think this looks a little bit green or gray over here. You can also just go back to the source image if you don't like part of it. Define a new start sample point by pressing Alt and clicking. Then come back over here into your destination image and just click and drag and get rid of that little green if you don't like it. And now if we go back to the offset, you can see that we've just created a nice horizontal fill. So as we just wrap the image more around the horizontal axis, you can see that is nice and smooth and tileable. So we've got the horizontal tiled now. Now all we have to do is do the vertical. So in order to do that, we're just going to just up the vertical there until that white band is in the middle. And we're going to do more of the same. Going to come over to our source image, press Alt, and click to define a starting point that we're going to sample from. Then come over here and click and draw, and this is where it draws to. And that's looking good already. Now we just have this little white bit over here. We're going to go back to the offset, Other and Offset. Just get rid of the vertical there. And the horizontal, we can, okay, that looks good. Now we have that little white bit in the middle. Come back over here, Alt click to define a new starting point. Then over here and just draw. And there you can see we've got the whole thing. This is just copied and pasted from bits over here. You can see it's a little bit smeary in little places, but you can keep on working at this until you get it just the way you want. But you can see that it is nice and tileable, and you can, move it horizontally and it keeps on going. Move it vertically and it keeps on going. And this is our corrected tileable texture. And just to if you create a new image and just whoops, not that one, yeah, preset US paper, let's bring that over here. Just take a copy of this and come over here and just paste it down. Might be a little bit large, but there's another copy. You put them right side by side, you can see they match perfectly, and you wouldn't even be able to tell where that line was. So that's how you create a tileable texture. And I hope you found this tutorial useful.